NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is set to meet with US President Donald Trump this week after the US leader announced plans to sell weapons to NATO allies for eventual transfer to Ukraine. Rutte will be in Washington on Monday and Tuesday for talks with Trump, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and members of Congress. The visit comes as Trump accuses Russian President Vladimir Putin of talking nice and then bombing everybody as Russia continues to batter Ukraine with intense air attacks.
We're not paying anything for it, but we will send it. It'll be business for us, and we will send them Patriots, which they desperately need, because Putin really surprised a lot of people. He talks nice and then he bombs everybody in the evening. So there's a little bit of a problem there, and I don't like it.
Rubio said US weapons Ukraine wants are deployed with NATO allies in Europe. These can be quickly transferred to Ukraine, and European countries can buy replacements from the US. Weapons which will be sent to Ukraine via NATO will include Patriot air defense systems, according to Trump.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the EU will suspend retaliatory tariffs on US goods scheduled to take effect Monday until August 1st. She said the priority remains to reach an agreement with the US after Trump announced new 30% tariffs.
We have always been very clear that we prefer a negotiated solution. This remains the case, and we will use the time that we have now till the 1st of August. And on the second track, since the very beginning, we have worked and now are ready to respond with countermeasures. We've prepared for this, and we can respond with countermeasures if necessary.
Other European leaders and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum also responded to the announcement, expressing criticism. French President Emmanuel Macron and European Council President Antonio Costa backed the Commission's statement in separate posts on X. Irish Taoiseach Michael Martin called the announcement a setback, while Dutch Prime Minister Dick Schoof called it concerning and not the way forward.
Israeli strikes killed at least 32 people in Gaza, as the Palestinian death toll surpassed 58,000 people after 21 months of war, according to local health officials. Officials at the Al-Awada hospital in central Gaza said it received 10 bodies following an Israeli strike on a water collection point in nearby Nuseirat. 6 children were reportedly amongst the dead. The Israel Defense Forces said it was targeting a militant, but a technical error made its munitions fall dozens of meters from the target.
قطاع غزة من رفح جنوبا إلى بيت حنون شمالا لا يوجد شبر أو سنتيمتر واحد آمن في قطاع غزة نتيجة العنجهية الصهيونية ونتيجة هذا القصف وهذه الحرب اللي حرب التطهير العرقي اللي بقوم بها نتنياهو وجيشه. فيش مكان آمن.
Despite months of talks aimed at securing a ceasefire, freeing Israeli hostages and getting aid into Gaza, Hamas and Israel remain deadlocked. Israel says it will end the war once Hamas surrenders, disarms and goes into exile, something Hamas refuses to do. Hamas says it is willing to free the remaining 50 hostages, about 20 of whom are said to be alive, in exchange for the war's end and the full withdrawal of Israeli forces.
Search operations are ongoing in Spain's northeastern Catalonia region after severe storms caused flooding across the province. Catalan firefighters continue to search for an adult and a child on Sunday after they were reported missing a day earlier. They were last seen crossing a bridge and falling into the river. Spain's weather agency said there was a high potential for flash floods in 8 provinces, and a disaster relief unit of Spain's military was deployed to the northeastern city of Zaragoza. Other countries across the continent have also issued alerts for heavy rain and storms, including Italy and Poland. The intense downpours come after Europe saw extreme heat waves across the continent, which has broken records and sparked alarm as temperatures reached above 40 degrees Celsius in parts of the continent.
Europe must not scale back its engagement with Africa. The director of the United Nations Development Programme's Africa Bureau, Ahuna Etsiakonwa, told euronews in an interview. Etsiakonwa said Africa offers Europe valuable human capital and resources and called for a true partnership instead of the outdated donor-recipient model.
I'm not sure that Europe can afford to reduce or shrink its presence in Africa. And I think it's more a recalibration of the partnership towards more partnership rather than donor-recipient relationship, because you say Europe is a donor to Africa, and that's true. It's one of the largest donor portfolios that Africa has. But I think Europe needs to start measuring itself, and that's probably what's reflected in this shift beyond its donor characterization in terms of the relationship, and put more value to what it means for Africa. So what it means for Africa isn't just treating Africa as a charity case where, we're here to rescue, populations on the continent of Africa, but actually recognizing Africa's value to Europe. In terms of what Africa has to offer in its demographic. The population of Africa is very young, and this continent will probably Africa will make up a quarter of the world's population in the next century, and that's important for a region like Europe, which is aging. But also, this is a continent that has critical minerals that Europe needs to power its future as it starts to also retreat from certain partnerships as a result of the war in Ukraine. So Africa's value to Europe is beyond a kind of a donor-recipient relationship.
Librarians at a medieval abbey in Hungary are battling a beetle infestation that is threatening to wipe out centuries of history. The abbey believes climate change played a role in the infestation, as higher temperatures are favorable for the life of the insects.
Ilyen mértékű fertőzéssel nem találkoztunk. Mi 30 éve foglalkozunk egyébként tömeges állományvédelmi eljárások kivitelezésével. A jellemző eddig inkább a penészedés volt, raktárakban is és felszíni gyűjteményekben is. Most várható szerintem a felmelegedés miatt, hogy egyre több rovarfertőzés is felbukkan.
Restoration workers are removing about 100,000 handbound books from their shelves. They are then carefully placing them in crates where the disinfection process takes place. They hope to reopen the library at the beginning of next year.
If we're talking about the domestic flying, we have ambition about zero emission flying in 2030. So that's our ambition. We don't want people to make new choice about the way they fly. We just want them to fly more green.
It's about the time it takes to offload people or packages and cargo, get it reloaded, and you're ready to go again. There's not existing infrastructure in the ground in Europe like there is in the United States today. And we just are running an extension cord to one of our chargers. The more sophisticated solution is something that you put in that's permanent, and obviously that's all in the ground. So look forward to a day when there's charge infrastructure all over Europe and we don't have to do that.
We have the stands where the aircrafts typically are parked and turned around, and for those stands we will have to adapt them also with electrical charging devices, so we can have a mix of traditional aircrafts, and in the future when these aircrafts come to town, that we can also handle such aircrafts.
A 25-kilogram rock is being auctioned for a price ranging between $2 and $4 million. It's so exorbitantly priced because it's the largest piece of Mars ever found on planet Earth.
It's more than double the size of what we previously thought was the largest piece of Mars. Now, we've only taken a small piece of it to study to confirm that it was Martian, but there's all sorts of interesting data that can be found inside of this rock.
It'll be auctioned off at Sotheby's in New York on Wednesday as part of a natural history-themed sale that also includes a juvenile dinosaur skeleton. The skeleton is large, standing at 2 meters in height and 3 meters in length. It's also incredibly rare.
Juvenile specimens are really, really important. They're really rare for two reasons. They were very appetizing to adult dinosaurs. You know, nice, tender, young dinosaurs, much better than an old, stiff dinosaur. But also their bones were really fine and were much less likely to survive the 154 million year fossilization process. So we almost never find juvenile dinosaurs.
The fossil is going anywhere from $4 to $6 million. Sotheby's says it's a chance for someone to claim a one-of-a-kind piece of history.